What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teej pack. Teej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teej Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teej Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a Dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teej Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a Dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teej pack. Feel the Teej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels, and I am happy to be before you guys today. What up, friends and family? Hey, can y'all give yourselves a round of applause? What up? Man, let me tell you something. I be losing so much stuff around here. I'm just not used to this. I got a weird workspace. I don't know where my watch is no more. There be people coming in and out of the house. I'm just not that comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Neither here nor there. I don't know what's going on all around me, but I'm going to figure it out. What's up, friends and family? What's up? How y'all feel today? Y'all feeling good? We did after hours last night. I switched my device that I'm streaming from. Actually, oh my God. Hold on one second. Let me see something. Give me a second. All right. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. What up? So I got on my Detroit hoodie today, and this is courtesy of Sportsaholic Gerard. Said, just a token of my eternal gratitude. Keep up with the Lord's work. I appreciate you, big dog. Can I get a round of applause for the people that be sending me stuff in my to the address that's in the description? The show is not over. I just had to move some stuff around really quickly, and I had to look for some stuff. What up, friends and family? I appreciate y'all. What's happening? Now, first order of business is we got to make sure that we do not hit the mute button, all right? We got to make sure that we don't hit the mute button. Second order of business is we got the show tonight on the Anton Daniels channel, the Wednesday night show, so make sure y'all go and check that out. Third, Teej Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Shout out to everybody that's holding me down with that Teej pack. Listen, seriously, y'all. If y'all have not gotten Teej Hanley, you need to get it. Make sure you tap in, rock out with it, and let's get it and let's run it up, all right? Last but not least, make sure you tap into the Patreon. We got Stock Club. I want to go over some things today that will feed into some of the things that we talk about on Stock Club, because I think I'm going to reposition my portfolio over the weekend. I don't make any sudden changes. I don't feel a need to FOMO, fear missing out. But in quick hits and throughout the show, it's going to be some things that I talk about from a financial perspective that should incentivize you guys to really want to start getting into investing, buying assets, investing in the market, making long-term decisions, and dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is basically you just having a set amount similar to taxes taken out, how you be having money going into your 401k. You just want to kind of automate the money that you have going into your investment, your brokerage account. And then we want to make those individual decisions based off of what's best for us 10 and 20 and 15 years from now, right? So if you're not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description. And you really, really need to tap in. You really need to tap in. And it's only one sector left, right? The early adopters are sold out. The seat at the table is sold out. And so it's a $15 tier. We spent $15 on nothing. Probably spent $15 at McDonald's yesterday for some of y'all. Come on, man. Invest in yourself and make sure you're doing the thing that's in the best interest of your life. And then make sure you tap into the Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description of any of the most recent videos. So we're going to be live streaming Stock Club on Sunday, similar to how we had it last week. If you did not, or the week before last, if you did not watch the replay of the one from last week, you have to watch the replay. All right. I don't want any of you guys falling behind. Don't sit here talking about Anton is going too fast for us. No, we break it down from a C student's perspective. Very, very simple, because it's not supposed to be complicated. It's supposed to be easy. Just because people making it a lot harder than it has to be, it don't have to be that complicated. All right. So let me get a mental health check in the chat. Let me get one word of how y'all feeling today before we get started with the show. Mental health check in the chat. Let me get one word. You like Stock Club, Sabrina? We love you too. Let me get a mental health check in the chat. Then we're going to read the super chats. I am going to go over the cash apps, and then we're going to get started with the show. We're going to get it rocking. Let me get a mental health check in the chat. See what my people is feeling like today on this beautiful Wednesday the 24th. Let's see. Sleepy. B-Day lifted. Happy birthday, A-Dun. Shout out to you. I got cool, creative, busy, refreshed, teach, blessed, great, victorious, healthy, artist, exhausted, graceful, grateful, blessed, lethargic, great, blessed, beautiful, great, starting wellness school. Congratulations to you. Ready, building, frazzled, not Chicago. Stop it with the hate. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Listen, Chicago is so bad right now. It is a spirit of evilness that's raining terror on your city. And I have a whole list of things that I'm going to go over on Chicago today. Listen, the more y'all keep telling me not to talk about Chicago, the more I'm going to keep getting it in my algorithm, because it's listening. These devices be listening to what's going on in our lives. So it's going to recommend it. It's going to say, Anton, this is what's going to happen on the south side. This is what's happening over here. This is what's happening in Tinsley Park. This is what's happening over there. So y'all keep telling me not to, and I'm going to just keep on bullying y'all. Superb. Excited for my new watch. Shout out to Pat Gigattainment. What kind of watch is it? Confused, sleepy, able, focused, encouraged, expanding, rich, annoyed with people, soaking, ready, blessed, productive, blessed, tired, progressing, reanimated, planning, hopeful. Shout out to Kicking It with a Chef. What up to the Chase gang? Efficient, inside him, fantastic, amazing, motivated. Miami-Dade says delicious, just kidding. Appreciate the love. Shout out to you. Optimistic, vacation, hungry, decent, awake, exhausted, grateful, desirous. All right. Sound-minded, forward, grinding. Vanessa here, determined. Shout out to Vanessa. What's up? Okay, I see y'all. In the chat. All right, so one thing y'all got to understand is we are a family over here. And even though we may have a little bit of wrangling sometimes, we definitely like to exalt and uphold each other throughout all of the stuff, right? So shout out to Antonio Watkins, first and foremost. Shout out to you for the 2 balls. Says, good morning, Anton and Rita Daniels. We appreciate you. Mike Moore says, what are we learning today? Oh, first of all, we're going to break down, well, we'll get there. Just stick around. We're going to rock out. Latrell M with the 2 ball. I appreciate you, Latrell, for holding it down for me. Pretty Boy 79 says, dropping a little something for the knowledge you bring. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Solution Trucking Channel says, did you create your LLC before or after you started your YouTube channel? You don't have to create an LLC before. By default, you file taxes the same way as a sole proprietor. So if you go out there and then you go out and you make some money from YouTube, or you do some contracting, or you do some contracting work, you're still getting paid the same as a business. You and your social security number is a business within itself. So you are already by default, just by being born, a sole proprietor for anything that you do outside of your regular W-2 job, okay? And then when you file an LLC, what you're basically doing is just separating liability. You want to give it a little bit more structure. You want to make sure that you separate the business side of it from you specifically. But when you file your taxes, it's still being filed on a Schedule C, which is basically them asking you, hey, do you own a business? Did you make any money outside of that? What are your expenses? What did you bring in? What was your gross? What was your net? So on and so forth. And that's what you determine. Your adjusted gross income, your AGI, at the end of the year is the amount of money that you pay taxes on. So let's just say, for example, you make $50,000 on your regular job. You make an additional $25,000 on your hustle. You don't have a LLC, but you still a sole proprietor by default, so that still goes on your social security number, right? Then what will happen is your adjusted gross income is $75,000. Now, let's assume that you have an LLC. It's the same thing, but you're separating liability, right? And then there's a couple of other benefits that go along with it too. But basically, the only thing that mainly matters is you getting started with the business, and you can continue to structure it as you go along. So don't worry as much about that. The business is more important than the structure of it. The structure of it can continue to be redefined and developed as you continue to build the business. So shout out to the Solution Trucking Channel. I appreciate you. Carlton Britton says, Anton just sent you an email with an interview idea. Let me know your thoughts. All right, bet. I appreciate y'all. Anybody that needs to send me anything from a business perspective, make sure you email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. I only do business through my email. It's antondaniels413@gmail.com. Last but not least, let me give a shout out to my dog, Mike That Dude, on Cash App. I also want to give a shout out to Ken G. Ken G sent me a 5-ball and said, for your work. I appreciate you, Ken G. Thank you, my friend. E Senior hit me with that 1 ball and says, Anton, one of your mods put me in timeout. Well, you should be out of timeout by now, right? Because timeout don't mean that you banned. It just means that you time out. Shout out to E Senior. I also want to give a shout out to my dog, Fadante. Daniels is in the building with the 9-ball. Said he joined the Bag Chasers. Let me give a round of applause to you. Mr. DJ says for Menace. I appreciate you, Mr. DJ. Gone Postal 28. Hey, mods, y'all got to be careful with the timing out. Don't time out people too bad, right? Unless they disrespectful, don't time them out. Just let them rock out, all right? Bianca Blanco says, can I email you? I live in Denver, affected by the migrant crisis. You absolutely can. I'm about to start taking some weekend trips when I ain't got to interview nobody. Shout out to Ali Collins. I appreciate you also for the 5-ball. Brian Hunter, I appreciate you also for the 5-ball. Christopher Jackson, thank you, my friend. And then Gone Postal again. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that continue to support the platform and getting it in. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you support After Hours with Anton Daniels. And then make sure you tune in tonight to the Anton Daniels channel. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Y'all ready to get started? Hey, for y'all that keep on being unruly in the chat lives matters. But I trust my mods, but I'm always going to get on everybody. Mods, let them rock. We're going to give a little bit more rope, a little bit more leniency, because we okay with people that have differing opinions. Just make sure that they're not disrespectful. All right? All right? All right, let's get it popping. I think we need to start with the quick hits. And thank you to everybody that support the platform. I'm going to be reading Super Chats and Cash Apps throughout the show. Also, bet you didn't know, hit me off. It says Tinley and Joliet are an hour from Chicago. You speaking about ish you don't know about, take this 5, not 2. Interesting. You know, the thing about it is that when they describe it and when people describe things that happen around a city, what you guys really are not taking into consideration is that whatever it is that happens to Chicago ultimately affects you too. So, for example, what happened with the migrant crisis? Once they stopped dropping them off in Chicago, they started dropping them off way outside of Chicago and in the surrounding areas. It doesn't really matter what you think, right? The only thing that matters is what is happening in the Chicago metro area. When things happen in Detroit, it also happens not only in Wayne County, where Detroit is situated, but it's called the metro area, right? If somebody says this is what happened in Tinsley Park, right, and Joliet, nobody gives a F about what happens over there. They're going to say the Chicago area, and then they might drill down a little bit more and then define what is happening in that area. So just because you feel some type of way about it, don't mean that I'm going to stop talking exactly the way that I've talked about it, right? What happens in Southfield, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, Birmingham, Royal Oak, Grosse Pointe, all of those are super rich suburbs of what's happening. Not all super rich, but all of them are really well-to-do and affluent suburbs. As a matter of fact, Oakland County is one of the richest counties in the United States of America, but nobody identifies that. They say Detroit is insert whatever it is that you want to insert there because it's all called the Metro Detroit area. And so when people go out of town, they don't say, well, I'm from Birmingham, Michigan. They say I'm from Detroit or the Metro Detroit area. And so what happens in our city, which makes us responsible for each other, because what happens in one place ultimately affects what happens in other places. When they identify that way, that's because we're all interconnected. And guess what? You are no exception. You are no exception. You don't get a pass just because you live a little bit outside of Chicago. You ain't that far removed. That's why migrants is getting dropped off right in y'all city. And guess what? Crime is happening in your city the same way that it's happening in Chicago. It's spreading over to you too. So we gonna hold you accountable the same way that we're held accountable across the board. You don't get a special pass. I don't care about your feelings. F your feelings. It is what it is, and you're gonna get this work. And it's a demon that's running around, and it's not just contained within the borders of Chicago. It's happening to everywhere, and I'm going to demonstrate it today just for you. Shout out to you. Also, on top of that, bet you didn't know says suburbs versus another city again, you don't know. All right. Well, guess what? This is the Millionaire Morning Show, and I'm definitely going to bring y'all to the front of the congregation today. See, I was going to take it easy. But every time that y'all think that y'all gonna tell me what to do, I already destroyed y'all on a Monday night show. But I'm a really focus and drill down. You thought that they was having panic attacks for the mayor of Chicago? Y'all got a trash governor too. How about that? Your governor is trash. And in my personal opinion, I think that he's corrupt. I think that he's the reason that Brandon Johnson is having panic attacks. As a matter of fact, I don't think that I focused enough on the surrounding areas of Chicago. I don't think I focused enough on the governor of Illinois. I've been giving him a pass because I've been so focused on all the crime that's been happening within the city. But you know what? You're right. You're absolutely positively correct. Let me do my work and do my due diligence. Yeah, I got you. Don't be mad. Let's just see how this goes. All right, let's go ahead and get into quick hits, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a full show to do today. I guarantee you we got a full show. Quick hits, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all think that just because you live in Peoria, as if it's anything out in those trash suburbs that's popping. Don't worry. we, we, we definitely gonna get there. Yeah, y'all ain't been good since the 80s, since the late 80s, early 90s. Shout out to Michael Jordan. Anyways, the Los Angeles Times is laying off people, mass layoffs on all of these legacy companies. Take a look.
LA Times announcing massive layoffs today, cutting the jobs of at least 115 employees. It's the largest workforce reduction in the paper's 142-year history. The billionaire owner of the Times says the cuts are necessary because the paper is losing $30 to $40 million a year.
KTLA's Samantha Cortese is live in El Segundo with details and reaction. Sam.
Right, the Times hemorrhaging money, leaving many to wonder what's going to happen to the largest metropolitan newspaper in the country. 115 journalists, 20% of the Los Angeles Times newsroom, gone in one fell swoop Tuesday. Reporters, editors, managers slashed from the roster.
Journalism, especially newspaper journalism, is a calling. You get into this not because you expect to be rich, not because you expect this to create some sort of fabulous Woodward and Bernstein style career, but rather because you've got a need to go out and find stories and tell them.
KTLA consumer reporter David Lazarus is a former columnist for the LA Times. He gave us a former insider's perspective.
I thought it was interesting that Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, the owner of the LA Times, said that the paper is not in turmoil and there is a plan for recovery. And that seems to be, well, troublesome because, of course, this paper is in turmoil and there doesn't seem to be much of a plan at all.
LA billionaire Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong told the LA Times staff cuts were necessary as the company is losing $30 to $40 million a year. He says the paper lost revenue during COVID and then again during the summer of strikes. And in hindsight, Soon-Shiong is frustrated with the money and resources spent on things like podcasts and video publishing that did not generate revenue. But Laz says he is sympathetic to media managers across the country who are asking, what do we do?
I think the real Achilles heel here is the fact that we are now all on limited budgets when it comes to our subscriptions and our streaming choices.
On Friday, the LA Times Guild walked off the job to protest looming cuts, asking the company to offer buyouts to more senior staff.
So y'all walked out in the midst of a company that's losing $30 to $40 million, only to try to bully the owner to try to buy y'all out and give y'all raises. And then y'all thought that protesting in front of the LA Times was going to make sense. Couple different thoughts here. This entitlement spirit is going away and it's going to be cleansed. And you know how it's going to be cleansed? By reality. And the reality is all of y'all that think that y'all privileged and that you so valued in society, the value that you have is based off of the consumer. And just because you've been doing it for a long time don't mean that your lack of innovation is going to keep you with a job or keep these companies open. And I keep telling y'all, we having these same conversations with so many different technologies, even within the automotive industry. And I keep saying, listen, if you're not innovating, if you're not changing, if you're not adapting, if you're not preparing yourself for what's to come, you are going to be out of a job and you're going to be trying to figure out how to do it. And so now the LA Times, in one fell swoop, just eliminated all of those people that was walking on that picket line that had their bull horns and they had their yellow and black and white on. And now you can go ahead and sit at home and try to collect an unemployment check, especially since Gavin Newsom is making sure that he pour money into social services. So now you can get on the social services line and you can become a part of the unemployed, right? The underemployed. Don't worry, Burger King is hiring out there. McDonald's is hiring. I heard that you can go and get a job at any fast food joint and you can make over $20 an hour. You can go and get it. You can go and get it. And I'm just telling you, look, we've already out-innovated everything that's happening over there at the Los Angeles Times. YouTubers, social media, it's evolving, it's changing. I recently purchased the Apple Vision Pro because I'm going to be one of the earliest adopters. I get mine on February 2nd. And I'm going to be one of the earliest adopters in order to try to figure out how I can make that work and how I can innovate that and use that to continue to reach out and give my people what they need in order to be successful. So, you know, innovation is key. Change is key. And just because y'all think that y'all cool or you think that, oh, nobody is looking to get rich in here. We provide a service and, you know, it's a calling. Well, call the unemployment office and make sure that you put your claim in every 2 weeks so that you can go ahead and go and get a job over at Burger King so that you can get my fries hot Y'all keep protesting, thinking that you're valuable. You keep getting these liberal arts degrees. We gonna show you. So the LA Times is practically going out of business. They already losing $30 to $40 million a year, and they're gonna go under. And while they're going under, people like me are gonna continue to innovate and do the things that's great for you guys, and continue to give you the news that's much more consolidated and better, and give you a view so that you can actually learn and not be given insight based off of an agenda that's being given to you. In addition to that, Netflix had blowout earnings. And when I say blowout, I mean nobody expected for them to add this many subscribers. See, they unsubscribing from the LA Times, and then they going and getting a subscription on Netflix. Take a look.
We already have Netflix results. We're going to go to Julia Borsten now for those. Julia.
Yes, we have a beat in terms of revenue. The company reporting the company reporting $8.83 billion in revenue, ahead of the $8.71 billion in revenue expected. Earnings per share coming in lower than anticipated at $2.11 versus the $2.22 that analysts have been looking for. But the stock is higher in after-hours trading because of the net subscriber additions. 13 million in net adds. The company had been expected to add about 9 million, just under 9 million new subscribers, but instead it reported 13.12 million. We will be digging through the numbers and back to you with more.
Okay, Julia Borsten, we'll keep our eye out. In the meantime, let's bring in our market panel. Joining us now is Vital Knowledge founder Adam Crisafulli.
So Netflix added 13.1 million subscribers. Nobody could have anticipated that kind of blowout quarter. Nobody. They are growing rapidly. They only expected them to add 9 million subscribers. They're destroying everybody. They're destroying Disney Plus. When I cut on my TV, and if I decide that I want to watch something, the first thing that I check out is either YouTube TV, or Netflix. It's only those three. Those are the three that I check out. Oh, and I do like to open up Max, simply because they got some of the legacy shows and some great shows that I check out, like The Wire and The Sopranos and stuff like that. But in a general sense, we got to have a discussion this weekend on Stock Club, because I might divest in one thing and go all in on Netflix. I used to have Netflix, and I got rid of it in order to go into something else. And that something else has actually done really well for me. It was Meta. So I repositioned myself and I bolstered my Meta stock. But I think that Netflix is something that we need to look at and deep dive into a little bit more, as far as where they're going in their competition, because they continue to innovate. They're not slowing down. They're doing really well. They got a co-CEOs. You guys know that even in the last Stock Club and throughout the Patreon, I've been telling y'all the 8 things that we look for when we look to invest in a company. I broke that down even more, and I added some examples when we did the last Stock Club in order to set the foundation for what we were going to be talking about. So if you're not a part of the Patreon and you're not a part of Stock Club, we're going to do that on Sunday, and it should be very, very interesting. Some of the things that we're going to go over the hospitality industry, hotels, airlines, Airbnbs, all of that. We're going to go over all of that, and we're going to try to anticipate where we can reposition ourselves and if it makes sense to invest in those companies. So, yeah, Netflix had an absolutely positively blowout quarter. And then last but not least, Biden wins in New Hampshire. Take a look. But he was getting heckled. Even when he did a rally, he was getting heckled. He got heckled over 11 times. Take a look.
Jill and I had a chance to sit down.
So Biden and Kamala Harris had a campaign rally in Virginia while they were winning in New Hampshire very easily, because they don't really even have any challengers for their write-in primary. And so he's starting to hit the campaign trail. He's talking a lot about abortion. He's talking a lot about Roe v. Wade. He's not talking anything about the migrant crisis whatsoever. And the people love him that's on the trail. So we can expect for it to be a race. I think that one thing that we didn't expect in the last election was that the worst thing that you can ever do is underestimate your competition. The minute that you start thinking that they sleeping, the minute that you underestimate them, is the minute that they start to take control of the situation. And so never keep your hand off the wheel. Never fall asleep at the wheel. Always pay attention. Popular, I mean, I'm telling you, they have a lot of supporters, a lot. And when I mean a lot, there's a lot of people that's standing for Biden. I think that he's too old. He looks a little too seasoned for me, which means that Kamala Harris is going to be at the, at the forefront. We got to really pay attention, and we got to start, having a conversation on what's going on around us, because again, they have a lot of supporters. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits, and we're gonna go ahead and continue on with the show and get it popping. Let me read some of these super chats. Again, I do want to thank Sportsaholic Gerard for sending me my hoodie, my Detroit hoodie. I actually got this mirrored so that I can look a certain way when it is that I'm reviewing certain things. But shout out to my Detroit hoodie that you sent me. I don't even have this one, so I appreciate it. I got most of the Detroit hoodies, but I don't have this one. Let me see. C-Note is in the building. Shout out to C-Note. C-Note says, just found your channel about a month ago. You have pure Vulcan logic. Thank you for the game. Thank you for the fireball, and thank you for supporting the platform, big dog. Bet you didn't know says, I'm in Chicago. You confused. You stay there, too. We want you to stay in Chicago. We don't want you to leave. I want you to endure through all of those high property taxes. The fact that when you park on the streets and you go downtown, the money don't even go to your city. You stay in Chicago. You stay there. Don't worry about it. We going to get to you. Chris James is in the building, says, God is everything first and last. Morning, Anton. I agree with you. Thank you, Chris James, for the 10 ball, and thank you for supporting the platform. Our SS29 says Chicago is a mess. Weekends where 30 people wish. Oh, no, we going to get there, y'all. Give me a minute, because I'm going to pivot. I had some stuff that I was going to talk about otherwise, but you guys are inspiring me. All these blue cities are lawless and filthy. Stores are empty, and people are not going to these cities. Oh, don't worry about it. We know the Miracle Mile is only 30% filled up. We're going to get there. Aaron Harris says, journalists did this to themselves, either peddling low-quality, quick clickbait or acting as political propagandists. They don't produce anything anyone would pay for. The market will determine your value and your worth. You got it. Billy Cho is in the building, says, can you talk about Country Ridge and a $1.4 million contribution to Governor Abbott? Send it to me. I'm not familiar with it. Send it to me. Amai says, Anton, it is elder abuse to let Biden run for election. Y'all like y'all elders in the race. The Wealth Building Company says, I think Netflix blowout quarter of subscriber growth and these layoffs are somehow interrelated. Netflix been worth investing in. I've always loved Netflix. I've talked about Netflix for the last 3 years on this platform. Shout out to my dog. I appreciate it. Mr. Lot says, thanks, bro, making the changes. I had a coaching call with my dog, Mr. Lot, yesterday, and he was just like, pow. And I've been coaching him for a long time. Mr. Lot, can I brag on you real quick, Mr. Lot? Mr. Lot makes over $250,000 a year. When I first met Mr. Lot, I'm not even going to cap. He was getting to it. He was making over 100 bands a year. But now he makes over $250,000 a year. And we having some real uncomfortable conversations because for whatever reason, not this past coaching session, but the previous coaching sessions, he thought that was enough. He thought that I was going to stop pushing him just because he making well over $250,000 a year and he one of my Detroit brethren. He thought that just because he was a bag chaser, he had hit that $250,000 threshold well and consistently, right? And that he was from Metro Detroit and that he was getting to it, that was enough. That's not. I'm over there kicking his butt, taking names, making him uncomfortable during coaching calls. I don't play. And so thank you for continuing to contribute into the platform because I see value in you. And I'm not going to just let you rest on your laurels because you think that you did good. That's not what it is. I see bigger things in you. I see potential in you, and I want you to be much, much greater than what you are. So I appreciate everybody that continue to support the platform and rock out. But we can't. We can't just let you just stay where you at. We got to keep pushing you. I mean, and when I go over your life, I go over your life with a he'll tell you, I go over your life with a fine-tooth comb. I'm talking about who you talking to, your relationships, whether you holding good character. I want to know whether or not you're utilizing your time effectively. What's the next step? I want to know your investment strategy, how you going to pivot, how you can protect yourself. I want to know everything. I don't just coach you based off of what you think makes sense. If you're going to get this, you're going to get this work all the way that I say you're going to get it. So shout out to my dog, Mr. Lott, killing the game. No debt, no student loans. Listen, I know my ladies keep saying, oh my God, what does he do? No, hold on. I know y'all think that all of the good ones is taken. I got plenty of homies that's in the $1 million club. Plenty of good dudes, solid guys that love God, no children, no debt, running it up, that's in the $1 million club. It's plenty of us that's running it up. Don't start asking him what he do. Let me holler at you. He'll tell you my coaching calls, I don't mess around. I don't mess around. I kick butt and I take names. So shout out to my bag chasers. Shout out to everybody that's a part of the Patreon. Shout out to everybody that got a coaching call. Again, if you need to get in contact with me, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. It's a different life over here. We push you to stay uncomfortable. You're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable over here with the chasers. All right? Y'all ready to get started with the rest of the show? Let's get it popping. So, Chicago and its metro area families are under attack. All of Chicago and all of the places that surround it has a blanket of demons that is running rampant. And instead of y'all casting out the demons, addressing y'all issues, and solving for the issues that's in your communities, you want to come to me and say, Anton, don't address it. Don't bring light to it. Let the demons continue to run in the dark. But you know what I said? I said, listen, light and darkness, they can't exist in the same space. When you shine light on the darkness, it forces you to get uncomfortable. And so when I see people in the chat and they feeling some type of way and they say, oh my God, you can't relate that to this. You can't say that. You can't say this. I know that I'm wrestling with the devil right now. I know that the devil is mad. And so when the devil get mad and they start complaining, you don't start to let the devil continue to have his way. You got to drive him out. You got to drive the devil all the way out. 100%. Shout out to Charles. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. So what we going to do right now is we going to dedicate an entire segment just to Chicago and its metro areas. Where shall we start, ladies and gentlemen, and how should we do this? Considering that the streets of Chicago is not even owned by Chicago itself. It is leased out for decades to an entity that you guys pay into, and you have no control over the rates that you have to pay. But neither here nor there. We gonna get there. Stick around. Shout out to everybody that super chat. I appreciate you. Let's get into Chicago, shall we? Where shall we start? Shall we start with a 2-year-old overnight that died as a result of an accidental shooting? Sure we shall.
A 2-year-old boy is dead after what Chicago police are calling an accidental shooting.
CBS 2's Mugo Digwe live this morning at Comer Children's Hospital with what else we've learned about this very tragic shooting. Mugo.
Yeah, good morning to you both. So here at Comer Children's Hospital is where that 2-year-old boy was initially rushed to after the shooting. Chicago police say he had a gunshot wound to his face. Here's a look at video. This shows the scene after that shooting. You can see officers out there investigating. This is near 118th and LaSalle in the West Pullman neighborhood. According to Chicago police, the incident was just before 8:20 last night. They say a 32-year-old woman told them she heard a loud noise, and then she went to check out where it was coming from, and that's when she found the 2-year-old boy with a gunshot wound to his face.
Let's stop there. Because I know that we say that demons aren't real when you think that it's a joke. But what I'm trying to tell you is that every single day, I have to sort through and figure out what I'm not going to talk about with Chicago, because it's so much demonic activity that is happening in that city, all the way affecting y'all children. And you want to sit here and have a conversation with me, but not have a conversation with the very people that's illustrating all of this poor behavior? Don't worry about it, because once you get done dealing with the babies and you decide, you know what? I want to be responsible. I don't want to drink and drive. Or maybe I'm just trying to get home from work tonight and I'm very, very tired. And so I'm going to leave my car where it is. Or maybe I'm just needing to get some transportation and I want to go over and go to a specific space. Or I want to send a car over here to this girl in order to bring her here. And you know what you got to deal with? This is what you got to deal with. Every single day, there is a different Uber driver that gets robbed in Chicago.
Breaking, police say 3 passengers robbed an Uber driver in West Chatham overnight. Just after 2 this morning, they forced him to hand over his phone and hit him in the face near 78th and Lafayette. The victim drove to 27th and State, where he was able to contact police. He refused medical treatment. The passengers ran.
Let's stop there for a minute. We're not even going to talk about the fact that you can't even ride share in Chicago and make extra money for your families. No, that's not a big deal. Crime is running rampant. Uber drivers and Lyft drivers is getting robbed. Little kids is getting shot in the face. No big deal. No big deal. Listen, I don't want to just leave this central to Chicago. I want to bring it outside of Chicago. All right? It's important that we bring it outside of Chicago. And one of the reasons why it's important for us to bring it outside of Chicago is because I don't even want y'all to think that the suburbs or the surrounding areas are more safe than it really is at all. When you drive 15 minutes, 20 minutes away and you want to go over to Thornton Township and Dolton, where they're having at least 7 water main breaks and they're having a cut to the budget as far as being able to really be able to service the people, and the average median income is only $26,000 a year, don't worry about that. We may want to go a little bit further out, right? It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're foreign. It doesn't matter if you're white. It's always something happening all around the city. Because I know you think you're safe, but maybe you're not.
More light shed today on the horrific killing of 8 people in Joliet.
Yeah, police are retracing the path of the killer to his death in Texas.
Nate Rogers has been tracking the tragedy in Will County from the beginning. Nate.
We've been in contact with the...
Hey, hold on. Let me give a round of applause for my dog Nate over here. Nate said, I'm coming through with the white on white, with the Gucci headband, with the Gucci, you know what I'm saying, top, and I'm going to look good for the camera. Nate says, I'm going to get my moment. Shout out to Nate. He said, listen, I know that it's a lot of violence and it's a lot of murders out here, but if I'm going to be on camera, I'm going to have my nails done. I'm going to have my beard tightened up. I'm going to make sure I got my Gucci headgear on, and I'm going white on white everything. Shout out to Nate.
Victims' family members as well as their colleagues, many still too distraught to speak on camera at this time. We also now know for sure the relation of those victims to the suspect. The Will County coroner identifying the victims as the suspect's mother, 47-year-old Tamika Nance, his aunt, 38-year-old Christine Esters, who's a corrections officer at the Joliet Treatment Center. Also killed 35-year-old William Esters, the suspect's uncle. Also 31-year-old Joshua Nance, his brother who was bedridden. Finally, the suspect's 3 sisters, 20-year-old Alexandria Nance, 16-year-old Alana Nance, and 14-year-old Angel Nance, all shot to death.
We can't get inside his head. We just don't have any clue as to why he did what he did.
Police now believe the suspect, 23-year-old Romeo Nance, committed the Hayden's murders Sunday afternoon, then jumped on the road inside his red Toyota, landing in Texas. Police say Nance swapped his license plate with a stolen one before being chased by U.S. Marshals at this service station in Natalia, Texas.
Task force officers with the United States Marshals Service observed Mr. Nance armed with a firearm fleeing from the vehicle.
Authorities say Nance eventually shot himself after a confrontation with police. Detectives went to his home here in the 2200 block of Acres Lane Monday, finding blood on the front door. Inside, 2 relatives were dead. At the family's second home, 5 others discovered murdered.
We do believe that the shootings at the 2200 block were the original shootings, and then the 2 random shootings took place shortly thereafter.
Unrelated to this crime scene, police say Nance, who has a criminal history, then allegedly killed 28-year-old Doyosi Bakari and shot a 42-year-old man, also in Joliet.
During the course of this investigation, we determined that a 3-year-old boy was unaccounted for, and we quickly located that child with a relative in a nearby community.
And as you can see, more than 24 hours after the start of this investigation, the crime scene still remains blocked off. We know that crisis intervention teams were out here throughout the day speaking with neighbors and with family members as well. Police also telling us they don't believe that the suspect had any association in Texas.
Let me back up something really quickly, because this is not only heinous. I'm going to re-emphasize my point. This is demonic. Let's back up. Mama took out mama, took out auntie, took out uncle. Hold on.
Uncle, also 31-year-old Joshua Nance,
and his brother, who was bedridden. Took out his mother, his aunt, his uncle, and his brother. But that wasn't it. Took out his sister and 2 more sisters. A 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 20-year-old. How else can you explain it other than spiritual warfare? How else can you explain it outside of spiritual warfare? There is no logic. There is no justice. There is no love language that we can talk about. These are monsters. They should not be running around on the streets. I guarantee you that the family already knew that he was a monster way before he snapped and he took out everybody. And then he took out himself on top of it. These are stone cold killers and monsters that are running around on the streets, feeling comfortable until they snap. Monsters in real life, in real time. No explanation, no justification. There's no way that you can kind of make this make sense in my mind. No, it's not. At all. Remember the story that I was telling you guys about the other day where, what was it, in West Tinsley Park, where the guy had took out his whole family? Listen, this is all back to back to back. This ain't like, oh man, this happened like a month ago or 2 weeks ago. The baby getting hit was just last night. The Uber driver was just overnight. He just did this over the Sunday and Monday, and then they went to his house and they just discovered everybody was laid out and blood everywhere and bodies is all over the place over there in, Joliet. And now I told y'all about this last week. They was trying to figure out what was going on with this guy. Let me bring y'all up to speed on this.
When the officer directed other responding officers to check the basement, the defendant stated, quote, "They're all gone."
Dramatic new details revealed by prosecutors today as they file murder charges against the Tinley Park man accused of shooting his wife and 3 daughters.
Dane Placco reports on Meyer Kassem's bizarre explanation for the murder of his family.
I hear you kicking it with a chef.
The defendant called 911 dispatch for the Tinley Park Police Department and reported that his wife had been shot.
Prosecutors read a lengthy and bone-chilling description of the murders in court, but 63-year-old Maher Kassem showed no emotion as he was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder for executing his wife and 3 adult daughters. They revealed the couple's 19-year-old son was also in the house and woke up Sunday morning to hear his parents and sisters arguing in the basement downstairs.
He heard the continuing argument between the defendant and the victims and then witness 1 heard gunshots.
They say Kassem used 2 guns to fire a total of 17 shots in a matter of seconds. His wife, 59-year-old Maheda, was shot 7 times. His 25-year-old twin daughters, Halema and Zahia, and 24-year-old daughter, Hanan, were also shot multiple times. When police arrived at the family's home,
the officer asked the defendant who else was there, and the defendant stated, quote, "They're gone."
With police body cams rolling, prosecutors say Kassem offered a twisted explanation for killing his family.
The defendant was recorded volunteering things about having just retired, and that, quote, "She treats me like a f***ing dog. I worked 40 years," unquote. And
couple different things here. Couple different things. Number one, I want y'all to continue to tell me how the only people and the only women that are giving their men problems are in the black community. I want y'all to tell me why because the only thing I see on social media is this don't happen with other cultures. They don't deal with their women like this. This is not what's going on. It only happens with black people. I want to know how many people in a general sense are dealing with domestic issues within their household, because if you think it's only central to the black community, I'm curious. Why are we looking at stories like this? Because what I will start doing is I'm going to start sharing with you guys things that are happening with communities that don't even have anything to do with the skin color, and it's happening across the board. And meanwhile, you'll have somebody like this that says, and he didn't have no backbone either. Look, man, look. I am never in my life ever going to justify this type of behavior happening, because nobody, and I mean I can't think of a situation outside of some real extreme things that we can try to paint and describe. In a general sense, I don't want nobody to either get their hands put on them or to whose life to be taken from them, because that's not supposed to be up to us unless you're doing it in self-defense. All right, so let me preface the conversation by saying that. But don't you realize that that statement right there is the very reason why some people snap? According to what this is describing, mama and the daughters was over there going back and forth and yelling at him and arguing with him. And he said, listen, I worked 40 years and I'm tired of being treated like a dog. He said, I get treated like a dog in the place that I've provided safe haven from. 40 years is, listen. I'm never going to justify the behavior. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the person that you lay next to is the most important decision that you ever gonna make in your entire life. The person that you lay next to is the most important decision that you ever gonna make in your entire life. He ain't tripping. He got arrested. His face when he got arrested and when he get in the rain looked just like that at the bottom of the screen. That's him. He said, listen, they all gone. I worked 40 years and I get treated like a dog. They all gone. It's over.
And, quote, I worked all my life to give my family a better home, and they treat me like a dog, unquote.
Kassem's public defender asked for him to be released on home monitoring, but the judge ordered him held behind bars, calling Kassem, quote, a real and present threat to the safety of the community. He'll be back in court on February 16th.
You're right, Rainbow Kid. He didn't off his son. He did not off his son. He broke down. I'm going to be talking about this on the Anton Daniels channel. I'm going to save it. But I also want to make sure that I give my second point. My second point is that all of the things that you've just seen in this particular segment is all taking place in one state, in one metro area, inside and all around it. And it just so happened to be the Chicago metro area. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to continue over with the show because, listen, you don't want to do this. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. It is bad out here in these streets. Shout out to Road to Sigma says, hey, AD, quick question. I see you have multiple YouTube channels. Is it recommended to make a separate email for each one or use one for everything? Well, I like to separate everything. Everything is its own individual entity because what I found out earlier is that if it's not separated, what happens to one often at times can affect the other one, right? And so all of mine is separate. You can have it all integrated, but it depends on what you're talking about. It can make it easier. I just find it to be better to have more structure and to separate it. So for me in particular, all of them is its own separate entity. Your thing just popped up, Les. All of them are their own separate entity. Good question. Shout out to you. Darnell says, Detroit is named the fastest appreciating housing market in the country. I need info on where to come and buy. No, we good. If you want to hit me up, you can email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com and we can talk business. We can talk turkey. But no, you know what happens with black people a lot of times? I'm going to be honest with you, Darnell. You know what happens with black people is that by the time that they get there, it's already developed and it's too late and the money is already taken. They will be so busy infighting with each other on how cool Houston and Chicago is when we know that those areas are already destroyed and they've already maximized the amount of money that they can make in them. But what we'll do is we'll wait until somebody else comes, gentrifies the area, extract every single piece of dollar, buy every piece of land, and then we'll want to do the Me Too fear of missing out, and then we'll want to start to invest in it ourselves also. We're never ones to invest in our own communities or to change it ourselves and to raise the property values ourselves. We always are behind the 8 ball, and then we want to do the Me Too thing afterwards, or we want to complain about somebody else seeing value in our things before we seen it ourselves. So I'm never going to try to convince people to do anything. I'm going to continue to make all the money, generate all the revenue, all of my stuff continue to appreciate exponentially, and we just going to run the numbers up. Don't worry about it, Darnell. Let them rock out. Let them do whatever it is that they're going to do. We chilling. We are chilling. We feeling comfortable over here in the city. We don't need nobody. We not inviting nobody. We slow motion. Oh, slaps. I got bet you didn't know one more time. He says Detroit, 700K population, 252 murders per capita. Detroit kills more, 2.7, 617 murders. Stop regurgitating. It's all wrong. He's 100% wrong. But I'll be interested in tuning into your show when you decide that you want to give the stats. But in the meantime, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hold Chicago accountable. Look at it. He's all wrong. He's all wrong. He's 100% wrong 100% of the time. But I do appreciate the super chats. Look, put me on camera. Detroit worse. I got numbers. No, make your own show. Why do I got... We don't pull people up on the Millionaire Morning Show anymore. You can come on after hours. So I'll tell you what. I'll invite you to come on after hours on Thursday night. The next one we're going to do on Thursday night. I'll pull people up that disagree with me. You're more than welcome to do so. And then I'm going to hold you accountable as a result of it. My daughter in here cooking. I see you, Les. Get it then. Do your thing. AL says Lions will get smoked. Look at all of this hate. Y'all ain't nothing but Stephen A. Smiths. Y'all ain't nothing but Stephen A. Smiths. So much hate. So much hate in your heart. Everybody from Chicago got this negative spirit, this negative thing on them. But guess what we not going to do? We not gonna act like that. We not going to trip about it. We just going to continue to run up the bag. And you know how I'm going to make sure that I know that it's love out here in the club? You know how Charles is here. Charles got a completely different perspective than y'all. Charles says, shout out to you, Anton. I love what you're doing. Always looking to learn more and chat sometime. Currently building a tech security consulting firm. Charles, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. We appreciate you for that 100 ball over here. Charles, we not like the people of Chicago. We got sweet spirits. We looking to continue to win. We love each other. We running it up. Shout out to Charles, but shout out to everybody else that's over in Chicago suffering through it. Shout out to everybody. Look, I see somebody in the chat. He says, I rock with you, Anton, AD, but the Niners is winning out. Okay, I tell you what. Whoever it is, y'all talk a lot. But you know, I tend to be a little bit of a gambling man. And I got a little bit of money to spare. You know what I'm saying? So whenever y'all ready, we can talk about it on after hours. We can take whatever bets. Whatever bets y'all want to take, we can take those bets. I'm willing to bet on my city 10 times out of 10. I'm always going to ride with my city. See, I'm not like AL. AL is the type of person to talk negative about a city, but then he don't even live there no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like AL. AL is the type of person that'll represent a city that he don't even live in. He like the gangbangers over there on the West Coast. You know, all of the Bloods and Crips that bang for a community that they don't even own. Shout out to all of the people that's from Chicago, that ain't even in Chicago, that's repping Chicago, and they don't even pay taxes there. Shout out to everybody that ran away from their city because they didn't see any value in it, but they want to continue to rep it and they feel a certain type of way about it. Shout out to y'all. Anyways, let's continue to roll out. I'm with it. Whatever y'all want to bet, we can bet. All right, let me get to the next story. I'm going to continue to read Super Chats throughout the show. I got to keep you guys informed on what's going on with Fanny. I'm sorry, Fawny. I got to keep you guys informed on what's going on with Fawny. Okay? So Fawny, the ex-wife of Nathan Wade just so happened to be the man that she hired. And it's kind of blowing up the spot right now. We know that Fawny is trying to make sure that she prosecutes Trump, and she's trying to be the needle in a haystack that tries to prevent Trump from becoming the president of the United States, right? But what Fawny didn't know was that the ex-wife of Nathan Wade was out here running up a check. Shout out to Rita Cameron. Was out here running up a check on her behalf because apparently she was paying him, and they was taking trips together. But there's a Senate panel that's saying that they might, and would investigate what's going on in Willis's case, considering that Nathan Wade has yet to testify in his own divorce proceedings, and that divorce is now unsealed. But we're gonna get there, all right? So make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me run a couple of clips by you guys so you guys can stay informed on what's going on with Fawny.
The Georgia Senate is poised to conduct investigative hearings into the office of Fulton District Attorney Fani Willis.
The majority Republican Senate says it aims to use power rarely used at the state level to target Willis, who is prosecuting former President Donald Trump.
Let me hold off for a second and let me give a round of applause to my beautiful black sisters. I know we like to give y'all S all the time, but I'm going to just say that this set of women, this couple of women that we see right here that is at this news desk is very, very pleasant to look at. I'm not even going to cap. I know they got their hair done, nails done, everything did. Hair done, nails done, everything did. Oh, you fancy, huh? I like these sisters right here. They looking good. They looking very, very good. Absolutely. So I'm going to have to give credit where credit is due. Look, I'm an equal accountability smoke giver. And so in the same way that I hold you guys accountable is the same way that I have to make sure that I hold these women down and say, hey, I love what y'all got going on there. Shout out to these sisters right here.
Used at the state level to target Willis, who is prosecuting.
And they know how to communicate effectively. They're pronouncing and enunciating their words correctly. I like these women. These are the type of women that we rock with, all right?
Former President Donald Trump. 11 Alive's Doug Richards is joining us now with more on what we are seeing here from the state capitol. Doug.
Yeah, you know, Congress is well known for its politically charged investigations, and now there are Republicans here at the state Senate level who say that it's kind of time for them to get on board and conduct a similar investigation, perhaps into Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Because the state government sends about $3 million a year to help fund the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Republican Greg Dolezal says that's reason enough to investigate how the DA is spending tax dollars.
Whenever people get upset with what you got going on, listen, some of the most notorious gangsters, they wasn't able to get them on a RICO case. They maybe not was able to prosecute them because nobody was going to snitch on what was going on behind the scenes. They weren't the ones that was touching the drugs or committing the crimes. But you know how you can get to people? You always got to follow the money. Now, they saying that they giving over $3 million a year for them to operate this office. And how they choose to spend that money within that office is absolutely worth investigating. I think that it should be an audit on a regular basis. Everybody need to be, all these offices, these public offices, they need to be audited. Because now, we're not just talking about ethics. We also talking about where is the money going. And if you are inappropriately allowing for somebody to build and spending taxpayer dollars on making, because again, we don't know. We genuinely don't know. Was that money being spent and billed and then y'all going out there and busting it down out there in the Caribbean and in California together? We don't know. All we can do is speculate and look at it. And I'm curious, what is happening with the money? You can't use other people's money and then go out there and party in the Caribbean while you still married and then sit here and think that we just supposed to stand pat and that's the end of the conversation because you was on the pulpit preaching to the congregation. No, we want to know where the money is.
The General Assembly historically has perhaps not used their investigative authority as much as they should, in my opinion.
Dolezal wants to use that authority to examine Fulton County's election interference prosecution of former President Donald Trump. DA Fonnie Willis hired Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade to handle it. Willis hasn't answered an allegation made in a court filing that she has a personal relationship with Wade. But records show Fulton County has paid Wade's firm some $653,000 for his services.
The serious allegations that are out there as to whether or not this is prosecution for profit or there is some sort of inherent conflict of interest in the ongoing prosecution of Fulton County.
Frankly, it smacks of McCarthyism.
Democrats say a Republican-led Senate investigation into Willis, who is a Democrat, would be a political exercise.
So it's a political exercise for us to audit how you're spending the money, the public's money, that we're allocating to you to do your job. So if one person is able to bill within a year $653,000 worth of billing. Now, I'm not the smartest knife in the tool shed. I'm not the sharpest knife in the tool shed. But let me just calculate that. It's 8,760 hours in a year. In general. 365 days, 8,760 hours in a year, right? And so if you got $653,000 in charges divided by $250 an hour, that's 2,612 hours worth of billing. 2,612 hours worth of billing. Now, if I go through 2,612 hours worth of billing, that would mean, let me get my mental math on. 2,612 divided by 24. So that means that you billed for 108 days. Now remember, it's 24 hours in a day. So we actually need to divide that. So let's assume that you billing at a rate of about 8 hours a day, right? 2,612 divided by 8. Then that means that if it's 365 days in a year, then you billed for 326 of them. Let me be clear. Let me just say that one more time. If it's 365 days in a year, you billed for the equivalent at $250 an hour, 326 of them. So like I said, my mental math is not the greatest. I am but a lowly C student. But all I'm saying is the math is a little bit weird for me. And so for me, that's a red flag, because if it's my business or if it's my public dollars and I'm down there in Georgia, I want to know where all my dollars are going. As a resident of Georgia, I want to know where my dollars is going, right? So let's just continue.
Election year in an effort to undermine Fulton County's criminal case against Trump.
It's certainly overreach, and I think that the Republicans do feel like this is some kind of payback or retribution for what Fani Willis has done.
The resolution has enough co-sponsors for it to pass the Senate. If and when the committee is formed, it will be run by Republicans. There will certainly be a few Democrats on it, but the committee would almost certainly do the bidding of its Republican majority.
So let's pivot for a second. Let's look at a different article or a different newscast because we want to get it from multiple different angles, right?
Tonight, more questions aimed at Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her indictment of former President Trump, this time from state senators. Georgia lawmakers are considering a committee to investigate Willis and her alleged improper relationship with Nathan Wade, the man she hired as a special prosecutor. Political reporter Doug Reardon is live tonight at the state capitol after talking to the Republican state senator behind this effort. So what do they want to look at here, Doug?
Yeah, hey, Blair. Well, the main thing is they want to make sure that no state or county funds were misused as this process of hiring a special prosecutor and investigating this indictment actually played out. Now, this wouldn't be disciplinary for Fani Willis. They wouldn't pass down any sort of punishment or take her off the case. But state laws could end up being changed at the end of this, depending on what they find.
So there's a lot of people that are interested in this.
State Senator Greg Dolezal wants clarity on recent allegations claiming an improper relationship between District Attorney Willis and Special Prosecutor Wade during the course of Fulton County's historic election indictment.
And there's a lot of questions out there with not as many answers.
This week, he proposed a special investigations committee made up of 6 Republicans and 3 Democrat state senators with the goal of answering 2 big questions.
The first question we want to answer is, have Georgia funds or Fulton County funds been misappropriated or misused? And then secondly, if there is a conflict of interest here, what, if any, state laws may need to change to address that?
The committee could become a reality as soon as the end of the week. Recent bank statements showed that Willis and Wade indeed traveled together several times after Wade was hired, and recent court filing claims that Wade, in some cases, billed the DA for 24-hour workdays.
So you didn't sleep? You didn't sleep. That's all I want to know. How do you bill for a 24-hour workday? Because if you work in 24 hours, then cool, just let me know. But how in God's name are we justifying? How is it a political witch hunt for somebody to investigate the possibility of somebody billing for? I think that's called, what is that called? Time card fraud or something like that? How do you bill for a 24-hour workday? And we just supposed to just act like it didn't happen. This is what stand on code. Stand on code, get the tax dollars taken. Stand on code doesn't allow for us to be and hold people accountable for what it is that they're doing. So you telling me you worked 24 hours a day, and that's what your timesheet say? That's what you submitted for a billable hour? Come on, family. Come on. This is what we doing? This is your special prosecutor? This is your Fulton County DA? This what we doing? How is this any different than Tiffany Henyard? Don't worry about it. Let's continue. Shout out to you, Brock. I appreciate you.
Dolezal says of the $30 million the state provides to local district attorneys' offices, Fulton County gets around 10% of that.
If you were the benefactor of expenses that were coming from someone who was paid, in some cases I'm told for 24-hour days of billing, and you were the recipient of vacations around the world, you would have a personal interest perhaps in ensuring that the prosecution continued.
The district attorney's office had no comment on the committee.
At least they smarter than Tiffany Henyard. They're not over here saying,
Right, and if you recall, last year, lawmakers here passed a bill that established a prosecutorial oversight commission that would investigate and possibly discipline DAs that have complaints against them. This is different. This, again, has nothing to do with discipline. They are simply investigating and authoring a report to turn over to their colleagues here.
And that's unfortunate because we got people that's finessing on a taxpayer's dime. Look, it don't really bother me because that's what's happening in Fulton County. Georgia Anybody that's over in Georgia, anybody that hang out in Atlanta, anybody that's a resident, anybody that pays taxes over there, paying taxes and letting this person overbill and take on Caribbean trips in order to be able to prosecute you at the same time. Y'all the ones that want, if y'all don't want better for your own city, similar to Chicago, if you don't want better for your own city, similar to Chicago, you know, I just don't understand the culture. I don't. For me, I always call for accountability. You know, I spent years and years and years documenting the process and holding my city accountable. I mean, I showed the worst of my city while also showing the best of the best. If you go back and you look at a lot of my content, most of it, especially for a certain period of time, both inside of the city and around in the surrounding areas, I documented and I held accountable what it was that I did not like about the city and why I wanted it to change, while also not moving away from Michigan. And then there was things that I absolutely loved. And then I'm moving even further into the core of what's happening into the city and investing all of my dollars. I remember about a year and a half ago, around this same time, what was it, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022? Or maybe it was the end of 2022 going into 2023. And I said, listen, I'm going to invest X amount of dollars, and it was over like $1.5 million into my own city of my own money. And that's exactly what we did. And now we invest in even more money into our own city, and we partnering with so many different people. And shout out to my girl, Carrie. We partnering with a lot of people that's over in the city to continue to build it up. And we absolutely love how things are going and in transition and becoming what it is. Now, it's unfortunate because y'all going through what it is that we went through before we went into the bankruptcy, and that most of these liberal cities are in a space to where they don't know what's happening, and they're one disaster away from everything going kaplooey. And they in denial. And instead of addressing the issues within their own backyard, they point the finger and say, oh man, why you not mad at this? Or why you keep bringing us to the front of the congregation? Because I want you to do better. You deserve, the residents of Fulton County, the residents of Georgia, the residents of Atlanta, the residents of Chicago and the Metro Detroit areas, they all deserve better than what they have right now. You should be bringing your own, look, at the end of the day, I'm here in Michigan. You still got to go to sleep in your own neighborhood where they killing 2-year-olds and they got Uber drivers crashing out. Aaron, you know what's so bad about Aaron? You know what's so unfortunate about Aaron? Is because Aaron is justifying y'all bad behavior, but he got the heck up out of there. He not even in Chicago no more. His son is safe. He brought his son to the meetup. I said, what up, little man? I could tell he ain't never stepped foot in Chicago before. I know for a fact Aaron's son ain't never visited Chicago, not a day in his life. But he will continue to incentivize y'all to crash out. He'll incentivize y'all to crash out. Hey, yeah, no, Chicago. He watching from further away than I am from Chicago. He incentivizing y'all to crash out, and he been gone for a long time and ain't never came back. He don't even go back to visit his family. He said, I'm up out of here. Y'all need to do better. Or don't do better, but don't look to move over to Texas. Don't run over to Florida. Don't go over down in Nashville and all of that. No, stay where you at and let them tax you to death. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to you. I'm just telling you the truth. It don't get no more real than that. I could have moved anywhere I wanted to in this entire country or outside of the country. I chose to stay here. See, it's a difference when you ain't got no choice but to stay there. But it's a whole nother ball game when you choose to stay there. Shout out to AL. We love you, big dog. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show because we got to get over to the migrant crisis. We got to get over to the money. We got a lot of things that we got to cover, ladies and gentlemen. And it seems like we take our time and we cook up, so we just going to continue to run it up over here. Let's see what the Chicago natives are saying again. Appreciate you reading the chats. It was worth the $20 per capita. Your crime is all around worse. See you Thursday with the numbers. See you Thursday. Bet you didn't know. I don't know anybody that's ever cammed up with me that never showed out on my platform. So you will be the first. Shout out to my girl Rita. You know I love all Ritas with an E. Shout out to my girl Rita. Rita don't look, man. Rita's love us so much. Every Rita that I done ever encountered in my life has been one of the most sweetest and lovely souls that I've ever met in my entire life. There's something about them Ritas, especially when they got an E on their name. They just a lovely soul. They feisty sometimes, but they definitely got a lovely soul. Shout out to all of the Ritas, including Rita Cameron. Just came through and dropped that and showed your boy love. I absolutely love my chasers. I love my chasers. Shout out to Rita. I love you, baby. Mwah. Fi Brown is in the building. Shout out to my dog Fi Brown with the fireball. Says, yo, AD, did you see Steve Kim shouted you out on Jay Whitlock's Fearless after he made a Brandon Johnson? I sent it to you at the timestamp. Nah, I ain't seen it yet. Drop that off. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to look at my email. Shout out to my dog Fi Brown. The people love me in the streets, in these YouTube streets. JC Inc. says she paid Wade for his services. Man, look, bro. You know what I think? I'm going to say what I think. Brock says, pass a love offering. Thank you, Brock, for holding me down, my dog. Diane Crowder is in the building, says, listen, I'm going to just drop this 10 ball in the collection plate, and I'm very happy to have you as a part of the tribe. Diane, thank you, my love. Me University says, they say a midget standing on a giant's shoulders can see more or further than the giant. AD podcast equal to giant. Black culture is the midget. God save Queen Rita. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. That was a well thought out super chat, and so we absolutely enjoy you being a part of the gang over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And yeah, shout out to Steve Kim. I love Steve Kim out there in these streets, man. All right, what we got? Oh, Texas. Let's talk Texas. Let's talk Texas. All right, y'all want to talk about Texas? Let's get into Texas. Texas recently was basically struck down by the Supreme Court, and that the Supreme Court ruled that Texas can't protect its own borders. They had to let the Biden administration's border protection come in and determine what's going to happen with migrants, even though it directly affects Texas residents and what's happening within that particular state. And so Texas started to take steps into their own hands. Not only were they sending planes, trains, and automobiles up to Chicago, New York, and Denver, LA, Atlanta. Not only was they sending migrants up there, they said, we want y'all to share in what we got going on. Greg Abbott said, look, we going to protect our border since y'all don't want to give us the funding in order to continue to build border walls. And so they started installing razor wire. They started putting buoys and floaties inside of the waters and the rivers to keep people from getting in, because they got a lot of acreage to cover, and making sure that they protect their own borders and protect their residents. That's the number one goal for this particular administration, is make sure they do what's best for the state. Make sure they do what's best for the people. Make sure that they look out for the people that's with them. All right? That's the number one thing. And you know what the Supreme Court did? They came through and they said, nah, listen, this is the Biden administration's job. They can remove the razor wire, and you need to get out the way so that, we can let the feds do what they do. And you know what Texas said? We gonna install more razor wire. Shout out to Texas. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's get it popping.
Texas lawmakers are outraged over a Supreme Court ruling allowing the federal government to remove all that razor wire along the U.S.-Mexico border. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy and others now pushing Governor Greg Abbott's administration to disregard the ruling and install even more razor wire. Jorge Ventura is live for us in Eagle Pass, Texas, with the latest. Jorge.
First of all, can we get a round of applause for Greg Abbott? Is Greg Abbott not the toughest, roughest with his afro puffs and his wheelchair? Listen, it take a man that ain't even standing up to stand up to the man that we need to stand up to. It take a man that ain't even standing up to stand up to the man that we need to stand up to. He ain't even standing up. He rolling through like Magneto and said, listen, I see you. I heard what you said, but it's a little bit different over here in Texas. We move a little differently. We're going to go ahead and protect our own. He not playing no games. He got 0 F's to give. Shout out to my daycares and my churches. Greg Abbott got this many F's to give. This many. He said, we don't care nothing about what y'all talking about. We gonna do what we gonna do. That's what's best for the people.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Marky. Well, the Texas Military Department says they are holding the line and will continue their operations inside here in Shelby Park following that ruling from the Supreme Court that will allow Border Patrol agents to cut through that razor wire right here installed on the border. Now, our News Nation cameras captured Texas officials doubling down and installing new razor wire and anti-climb fencing. The Texas Military Department has seized control of Shelby Park and are not allowing Border Patrol agents to conduct their normal operations. In order for agents to cut through the razor wire here in Shelby Park, they'll need to be let in by Texas officials. So far, we have not seen that or any attempts from federal agents to enter the park. This all comes as Mexican officials across the river have stepped up efforts to stem the flow of migrants on their way to the U.S. border. Sources in Mexico telling News Nation that Mexican officials are conducting operations on freight trains to stop migrants from riding train cars all the way to the U.S. border. Texas Congressman Randy Weber is in Mexico discussing the issue of immigration with the Mexican president. He tells me he backs Texas Governor Greg Abbott's actions to install more razor wire.
Quite frankly, I think that Governor Abbott needs to tell the federal government to stay out of Texas, in my opinion, and that they're not protecting the border. They've done a lousy job. This administration has. They've not put the policies into effect that need to be there to deter people from coming in.
Man, I wish I could have me a Greg Abbott. We need Greg Abbott to run Michigan the same way. Lord bless Greg Abbott. You know, I'm a sinner. You know, he gonna just be a part of my daily prayers. Lord, bless Wheelchair Abbott and continue to hold up his body and let him continue to run it up and take care of Texas and be the governor that we all know that we all need and deserve in all of our states. We all need an Abbott in our state. He said, listen, I heard what you said, but you're not coming over here and telling us what to do over here. You're not determining what we got going on over here. He said, we're going to install all of this razor wire and we're going to triple up. Try to get through it if you want to.
Today, we are expected to see the Texas military install even more of the razor wire here in Shelby Park, just adding to the layers and making it even more difficult for migrants to enter illegally. The sense on the ground right now is this is going to be a long-term operation as the border showdown between the federal government and the state of Texas intensifies.
Thanks for watching.
I'm a bet on Abbott. I'm betting on Abbott.
Border update new here at 6. Texas is doubling down on the concertina wire along the Rio Grande. Today, the Texas National Guard was spotted actually putting up more razor wire at Eagle Pass, one day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the feds are able to remove the wire. Vanessa Croy has the latest from the border.
The temporary ruling is a big win for the Biden administration, but one day after the Supreme Court's order, the razor wire remains here in Eagle Pass, as Governor Abbott says the fight is not over. And we talked to one local businessman who's wondering, what about us? Fencing, razor wire, and other barriers still remain along the river near Shelby Park and Eagle Pass. The Governor Greg Abbott has installed as part of Operation Lone Star. This after the Supreme Court's decision on Monday to allow federal agents to remove the razor wire.
It doesn't change operations for DPS or National Guard. We're still going to add more infrastructure. That decision does not say that we have to remove barriers. In fact, we're adding more barriers.
The emergency appeal granted by the nation's highest court reverses a ruling by a lower court that barred federal agents from cutting the wire.
And they're adding this other barrier here. That
the Biden administration arguing the razor wire prevents Border Patrol agents from doing their job. It's a dispute that spans from D.C. to Texas, as Governor Abbott continues to slam the Biden administration for not enforcing immigration laws.
We're averaging a drowning a day here, but yet at the federal level, from the federal government, they have not put any type of preventive measures in place to discourage anyone from crossing the river.
But what about the local? What about us?
For Eagle Pass business owner Jesse Fuentes, the impact extends much deeper than just political rhetoric.
Shelby Park connects us to the river. It is part of our culture. It is part of our history.
Fuentes operates Epi's canoe and kayak team. And with the state takeover of Shelby Park, it's not only impacting his business, but also his livelihood.
We have no access to it. There's tons and tons of concertina. There's shipping containers.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Yeah, that's it. Don't matter. Listen, we're not worried about your canoeing business, buddy. We got to secure our borders. If you want different, then you need to get the Biden administration to get your life to get their life together. Listen, if y'all want different, then go and talk to Biden. That's what the message is from Texas. If y'all want different, then y'all need to go and talk to Biden. Meanwhile,
a day after the Supreme Court allowed federal authorities permission to remove razor wire installed by Texas along the border, North Texas Congressman Roger Williams is now announcing a new proposed bill. He says it would bolster Texas' efforts to combat unprecedented levels of illegal immigration at our southern border. U.S. Congressman Roger Williams joined local law enforcement officials in Tarrant County this morning to discuss the ongoing effects of the border crisis throughout Texas communities. He also took the time to unveil key details of new legislation he's hoping to get passed.
This legislation gives Texas the authority to secure our borders and protect the lives of Texans.
The state of
it's unfortunate that you got to introduce new legislation to give yourself authority to secure your borders because the federal government, which is supposed to serve you, that takes tax dollars from the residents in your state, won't even do its job. You got to introduce legislation to take care of your own borders.
Texas Operational Protections Act, or the STOP Act, being introduced by Congressman Williams, would affirm Texas' right to secure its border. It would allow for more sections of a border wall to be built, and in his words, most importantly, force the federal government to reimburse the state for all of the expenses tied to this kind of enforcement.
I think the federal government, in this case, does owe it to the people, because the people of Texas, it's our money that's getting spent on the border, and we need to get our money back.
Currently, similar operations through Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star have already cost taxpayers close to $10 billion.
Texas got to continue to do what they can.
And it's worth every dollar that's being spent.
From physical barriers to changing laws, what state laws and so forth is the only thing we can do.
But opposition to his proposed bill has been swift. The chairman of the Texas Border Coalition tells us this legislation does little to solve the problem.
Continuing with just deterrence only and enforcement only policies is not going to bring any resolution.
He thinks the solution is a combination of a physical enforcement with complete comprehensive immigration reform from Washington.
If we're going to continue to try to do things through deterrence, we have to complement it with an overall border management program that includes immigration reforms and legal pathways for folks to come in.
You can forget it, man. Listen, you can forget about all of that, because I'm going to just tell you this right here. We've been talking about immigration reform and closing off our borders and securing our walls and making sure that national security is at the forefront of what we need to do, because you can't really help and take care of the people in the United States of America if you can't even secure your own borders. Since I've been born, since I was a little kid, and I was born in '82, I'm 41 years old. Since I was a little kid, I have been hearing this same rhetoric over and over and over and over and over again. We continue to talk and we're not doing nothing. And it hasn't been until I just seen what's going on with Governor Greg Abbott that I've seen anybody step up and say, listen, I don't know what we got to do. We can jerry rig this. We can put this razor up. We can do whatever it is that we need to do. But at the end of the day, we need to go ahead and make sure that we secure our borders, at least over in Texas. And if anybody else disagree with it, then we're going to send some migrants up to your city. And whatever we got to do, we just going to run it up. Whatever it's going to cost, that's the investment that we're willing to make. I haven't seen anybody except for Greg Abbott, not one person actually, and Trump. Let me give Trump his credit, because he was one of the people that, as a part of his campaign for and asked for federal dollars to continue to secure our borders. Now, we spending the money on it anyway, but we just putting makeshift things in place. We're not actually solving for the problem. And nobody is against immigration, but we're against illegal immigration. Shout out to Texas. I got a lot of respect and a lot of love for Texas, especially Dallas. I love Dallas. Shout out to Dallas, Texas. Let me read some of these super chats. Bitcoin Brown, just appreciate your leadership, boss. Hey, Bitcoin. That contract is on, big dog. We're going to run that up. We need that new site up immediately. I'm responding to your response email. I'm responding to that today. I got some slight things that I want changed in the contract, but I do contracts with my people. Shout out to Bitcoin Brown. Appreciate you, big dog. Enforcer 2K9 says, yo, Anton, I seen you made World Star with the caption. Dude says, if a woman is single past her 30s and 40s, she's effed up. You're about to be KS mainstream. Let me tell you something, bro. I love and respect my guy KS. I love and respect Kevin Samuels. But I've always declared since his passing that there will never, ever be another KS. There will never, ever be another KS. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think that anybody should try to replace him. We should just, remember him for what it is that he did and for his greatness. And I think that everybody should just, learn from it and then blaze their own paths. My biggest priority is not necessarily to go mainstream, but my biggest priority is you guys. As long as I got y'all, as long as I got the chasers, as long as I got the people that rock with me and that's loyal with me, that's all I need. Everybody, look. I'm never impressed by publicity or anything like that. I don't get excited by that type of stuff. It don't mean nothing to me. You know why? Because the core of who I am is still to rock out with the people that's been rocking out with me. If a bunch of fair weather people come over here or come over to the Anton Daniels channel or go over to After Hours and you start getting all of these new people show up or whatever, and the Anton Daniels channel was growing like crazy. Over the last month, it's probably gotten like 18,000 or 20,000 new subscribers or something like that, right? But guess what? They fair weather. I only rock with the people and I show love to the people and I tailor what it is that I do to speak to the people that rock with me. So, cool. Visibility, awesome. But the core of who I am is still the same person that I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And don't get me wrong, I love the love and all that other type of stuff. But the core of who I am is still the core of who I am. I'm not changing. I'm not switching up. And I'm never going to be anything other than what I evolved based off of the feedback and the interactions that I got with my family, and that's you guys. So I'm not impressed by that. That don't mean nothing to me. I'm not excited by it. I'm not tripping off of it. It is what it is. I'm 100% focused on the people that's been focused with me. So I know you guys by name. When I jump in here in the morning, when I jump on there on After Hours, or when I get on the panel, or when I do my Wednesday nights, I see my people and I recognize the people. Brittany, Tamra, Azriel. Listen, it's been a lot of people that came and went. A lot of people that came and went. Some people went on to better things. Some people created their own platforms. Some people trying to figure it out. Some people go and then they come back and they say, oh my God, I should have stayed with you and all of that. But the tried and true ones, I see them every day. The tried and true ones, I see them every day. So I am what I am. And I'm not switching up. I'm not changing for no national pressure. I don't care nothing about that. We already rich. So it ain't like they can incentivize me with money. You're going to have to come with something better than that. If I'm going to sell out, I'm going to have to sell out for something else better than that. But it can't be because of money. Shout out to you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Enforcer 2K9. I appreciate all of the love. Brittany B in the building. And guess what? Abbott is doing the Lord's... You a mess. Lone Star says there's nothing like a stubborn Texan. That's my governor. Shout out to you, Lone Star. Wilder CNA says Joe Biden ain't got nothing on me. Shout out to Wilder CNA. Do y'all notice that before we get into the next thing, because we got a couple more things that we got to go over. Did y'all notice that, like, there's platforms, and no disrespect to them, there's platforms that won't even acknowledge or read super chats for anything less than a certain amount. Oh, you got to send this much amount for us to even acknowledge you? Man, I don't care if you send me 50 cents. The fact that I acknowledge the people in the chat and some of the stuff that people be saying, they don't even send super chats when I can because I got to keep the show moving. But in a general sense, man, if you send $1, you didn't have to. I never asked for it. I never advocate for it. As a matter of fact, I got in my feelings one time a couple weeks ago when I shut the whole stream down because y'all was sending too much money. And y'all had to teach me, Anton, accept your blessings. Stop being extra. Don't be a diva. Okay, I'm wrong. My bad. I'm bringing myself to the front of the congregation. But I don't care what it is, bro. If you send $1, $2, man, I'm acknowledging everybody. Every single super chat I am going to read. Sometimes the stream crash out and, you know, I can't see them or whatever. But, man, I don't care nothing about what it is. I love everything and everybody. If you just hit a like for the algorithm, I appreciate you. And for the people that's been rocking out with me for a long time, 8, 9 years from now, if God willing and we all still here, I'm going to be reading $1 super chats flat out because I appreciate the people. And you don't have to. And you spend your hard-earned money to show love because you see value that we add in here. And so I'm always going to acknowledge the people. All right? Care nothing about that. I care nothing about that, bro. I just love people. I love the fact that y'all love me and I love y'all back. Mr. P in the building says thank you. No, thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you. Sam the God says, shout out to my city in Dallas. Shout out to my dog, Sam the God. Man, I don't even raise prices in the Patreon. The prices that I got in the Bag Chasers, even for the seat at the table, is the exact same price that I started off with. The price that I got for my rental properties is the exact same price that the people have been paying. If it don't hurt me, if it's not affecting me, if it's not driving or taking away from me, the price that I got for my coaching calls is the exact same prices that I had when I started off with this thing. I'm not switching up for nobody. I love my people. I rock with my people. And I'm going to continue to hold my people down. So that's what I do, bro. I care nothing about that. Shout out to Ray Sean says, hey, Anton, hope all is well. May you explain this Facebook bag. Should I upload my YouTubes to Facebook as well? Yes, absolutely. Now, one thing that you got to take into consideration, Ray Sean, is that, well, I know that you in particular, you don't have salacious as far as cussing or anything like that, so you should be fine. But yes, I think that we all should be focused on being platform agnostic. Absolutely 100%. Yes, upload it to Facebook. 100%. Yep, you absolutely should. So just because you're getting it on YouTube don't mean that you shouldn't get it and you shouldn't be live streaming on Facebook also. So shout out to you. That's a phenomenal question, Ray Sean. Also, a couple more people. Shadow Dragon TV is in the building, says, blessing, big bro. How are you feeling late? I feel great. I'm getting a little stir crazy because I've been in the house, but it's cool though because I get to spend more time with family. Leslie is off from school again today, so she out here kicking it. I do a lot of cooking. I've been cooking. I've been doing a lot of clothes, washing clothes. Been giving away my Pistons tickets. It's not like it's nothing to see there anyway. I've been doing a lot of work as far as going to see the property since I'm not downtown as much. And I've just been kind of taking over the responsibilities of that, of what's been going on in the house that usually is reserved for, hold on one second. I get to yell at my daughter and say, turn down the music because she's playing Aaliyah in there. But I just been taking on more responsibilities, just, doing clothes and, making runs, doing errands, cooking and stuff like that. So just doing stuff like that, taking care of business around the house, stuff that usually she would do, I do. When she get out the shower, I make sure that I lotion her up and, just kind of be there. And, I try to let her have a little bit more freedom because every day she's getting a little bit better. But, just kind of taking more responsibility of what's happening around the house and making sure that stuff is done. So that's it. She in a good space. All right. Yeah. All right. So shout out to you. I appreciate you. Let me read a couple more super chats and then we're going to move on with the show. Anton, any word on one-on-one calls? Yeah, we going through it. Y'all got to give Rita a little bit of time too because she's usually one that set all of that up. So as she's recovering, she's ramping up slowly, and I don't want to push her too fast. Sammy Danko says, "What's your opinion on living in a no-state income tax state for at least an average of 6 months? 6 months and 1 day. If you can get away with it, if you can justify the cost, often at times the cost is offset by other things. But if you make a significant amount of money, it could be beneficial to you. So, do it. I don't suggest anybody subject themselves to California taxes or Chicago taxes or anything like that. Gangsta Love says, why did you stop bringing people up? Because we got a separate platform for that. And I think that the Millionaire Morning Show has grown to where we need to spend more time focused on the content, and I like to interact with the chat. But After Hours is for that now. So if you want to come up and express your thoughts, bring it up on After Hours. We always going to have a platform where I like to have people come up and express their thoughts. But it don't have to be here. We do that on, actually, it's more space for you to express your thoughts, because where I used to just do it on Fridays, now you can come up on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on After Hours, and we don't even have no time limit for the amount of time that you have to be able to get off your thoughts. So that's, I think that you got to continue to modify and retrofit what you need to happen in order to continue to grow the platforms to where you want them to be, right? So I think that that's a better platform for it, all right? All right, let me continue to rock out. We got a couple more things that we want to go over. With regard to the migrant crisis, New York City is evicting migrants, and Chicago is kind of pivoting, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
So because of the cold weather, there's been a lot of attention on migrant families who are being evicted from local shelters after 60 days.
All right, Fox 5's Morgan McKay live outside the Roosevelt Hotel in Midtown. And Morgan, both immigration advocates and local politicians are demanding an end to this policy.
Exactly, Stephen, Teresa. As everyone knows, it has been freezing out here, and this new policy that evicts migrant families with children after 60 days has been in place for almost 2 weeks. Now, behind me, you can see the Roosevelt Hotel. This has been serving as a welcome center for newly arriving migrants, and now the reticketing center for migrant families with eviction notices.
Our mayor is a slumlord.
City council members and immigration advocates blasting Mayor Eric Adams and his administration for implementing a policy that evicts migrant families with children after 60 days. If these families cannot find their own housing within that time, they have to return to the Roosevelt Hotel and reapply for shelter. While a similar policy for single adult migrants has been in place for several months, this new recent policy change that now impacts migrant families with children has many, including the city council speaker, pushing back against the mayor.
I urge the mayor to abandon this counterproductive and cruel tactic and instead pursue more sound management.
Last week, the
Okay, so I'm not the biggest Eric Adams fan at all. And I know you New Yorkers are generally crazy and their opinions is all across the board. But one thing that I really despise about a lot of people, and I see this happening with black women. I'm sorry, ladies, I got to hold y'all accountable. It just is what it is. I see this happening with black women more than anybody, is they always telling you what you shouldn't do, but they never have a solution for what you should do differently. Listen to what her solution is.
And instead, pursue more sound management.
What the heck is sound management? What is sound management? What is you talking about? And instead, pursue more sound management. What does that look like? Please describe it for me. I think that the only solution that they have, the only solution that these sanctuary cities that's getting all of these migrants have, is to join in with Texas in advocating for and helping to protect the borders so that we can have a better solution for migration into this country instead of illegal immigration disguised as asylum seekers. There is no sound management. They're overrun. They cut in the budget. They don't have enough money for schools. Sanitation is going down the drain. You don't have enough police officers. They stand in hotels. They paying these hotels an exorbitant amount of fees. They spending billions and millions and billions and hundreds of millions of dollars on continuing to house, shelter. They infiltrating and overtaking your schools. They getting health care coverage, and there is no sound management. They getting these migrants by the busload on a regular basis. They even sending them to New Jersey and letting them catch the train and buying them train tickets to get into New York. And so now you're saying, oh my God, this is so cruel. The cruel thing was you trekking yourself over here, supposedly all of these miles, to come and stay in a city that wasn't you was doing it illegally, but you took your chances anyway. So now we supposed to feel sorry for it instead of addressing it accordingly. They shouldn't be here in the first place. They should not be here in the first place. That's the problem. That's the problem within the black community, is that we keep trying to retrofit everything to make it fit what it is that it's supposed to be in the first place. The core root of the problem is that we so far away from what we was ordained to be in the first place. And so you should not be having open borders. You should not be having people here illegally. And now you're talking about pursue more sound management. What is sound management? This is why I can't listen. And you know, I'm not a fan of Eric Adams or Mike Johnston or Brandon Johnson or Karen Bass. Get off the microphone. Ma'am, respectfully, take your bangs, take your Kurt Cobains, and get off the microphone. We don't need your help. We don't need your advocating. The only thing that we need you to do is get in line and follow orders. You are not there to be speaking on a microphone. We know you got a low position. You're part of the city council, but we don't need your insight, ma'am. Because if you don't have a real solution, then please put the microphone down. God.
Last week, the administration amended this policy so that pregnant migrants in their third trimester and women with newborn babies will not receive eviction notices until their babies turn 6 months old.
Don't y'all realize that a lot of these people come over here to have children so that they can circumvent what our immigration laws are in the first place? They come over here to have children. Look, they're busting it down for a real one. They coming over here pregnant in your third trimester, getting off of a bus telling me that you navigated through alligator waters and cartels. And now you telling us that we supposed to take care of your baby. You getting free health care. You get to have a kid here. Man, shut this junk down, bro. Good God. Over here having babies and having kids. And then playing on your emotions because you're a woman. And you don't know how to stand for something. And so it's easy to finesse you. They coming over here pregnant. That mean that they was over there getting the and now they over here having children. They coming over pregnant. That mean that they was busting it down for a real one.
In response to the rally, the Adams administration says they've had to make these drastic policy decisions because they're out of room and resources to care for such a large number of migrants, calling again for a federal solution. More than 170,000 migrants have received care since the spring of 2022, and 68,000 migrants are currently being housed by the city. Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala disagreed with the mayor that the city is out of room.
I've been in meetings where I have been told directly that one of the motives for this policy is really to make people uncomfortable enough. So I don't believe that the mayor is being honest.
Advocates also
This is stupid. This is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life, bro.
say that moving kids around to different shelters disrupts their education, with some kids being forced to bounce around to different schools.
They have not been getting all the help this administration claims they've been giving them. These human beings are being moved from shelter to shelter. Shelter staff have lost their mail and say that since they moved, they had to return their mail to sender.
I'm telling you, the inmates is running the asylum, bro. They got these strong voices. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's the dumbest thing ever. The inmates are running the asylum. Hear me and hear me clearly. The inmates are clearly running the asylum. They're advocating for them now. Advocating.
These are life-changing documents.
Now, according to a recent Siena College poll that came out this morning, more than 80% of New Yorkers say that the recent migrant influx is a serious problem.
Meanwhile, they standing outside of the Roosevelt Hotel. Promise me that I'll never stay at a Roosevelt Hotel once this migrant crisis is ever over. And then over in Chicago, let me tell you what's happening there.
I think I'm frustrated with all of it, all the way down from the president.
Uh-oh. What in the booty call is happening here? Oh, man, she got all kind of patterns. Got white, blonde hair. Jesus. Man, I don't even be able to focus on half of the stuff that be happening over here because y'all be putting the wrong people on the, bringing them to the front of the congregation. What in the 90s, what was that called? BAPS? With Holly Berry and the other chick? What in the BAPS is happening here? Jesus.
I'll tell you why. Because the president could have stopped it. This should not be on the backs of the people here and draining our resources.
That's just one of the powerful voices, one black resident in Chicago.
Oh, shoot.
Who's had enough of Joe Biden's migrant.
Auntie, you got to do better. Hey, y'all, protect your aunties, man. Protect your aunties.
Crisis.
That's what, listen, look, before we get this. That's why I don't be believing y'all when y'all be telling me that y'all be having all of these high standards, bro. Because auntie and them, they telling me a different story. I know the women that y'all be talking to is auntie and them. This is what our norm is. This is more normal. And so then y'all be having all these high standards and these expectations. Auntie smoke cools, Black and Milds, get her hair done every week, get her claws done. Dog. I went and picked up some food the other day. And what was it, early last week? I'm not going to say where because I know some of my people watching me in the city. I went and picked up some food the other day. And a homegirl, she had her hair did and all of that and whatever. Her hands were so ashy. They were so hard. It was like construction worker hands. And she was the person that was behind the counter. I wanted to tell her so bad, baby girl, you got to get some Crisco for them hands. You got to get some Vaseline, not some Vaseline. You need to get some Vaseline. You know, when they get that bad, you got to get some Vaseline. It's not Vaseline no more. You got to get some Vaseline for them hands. Honestly, bro, her hands were so hard and ashy, and they were thick. She had thick hands, and it was like protruding a little bit. And I was like, Jesus, you can't. It was so white, and she was so dark. Looked like somebody had threw powder on her hands. Back to the show, y'all.
And she's not alone. Another Chicagoan is telling the Free Press, quote, this is Kata Trust, quote, there's a humanitarian crisis in the black community, but every time we have a need in our community, we're told that there are no funds. There's no money for us.
Now they're suing to stop a local field house from becoming a shelter for illegal migrants. Here now the author of the article, the Free Press staff writer, Olivia Reingold. Olivia, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. So tell us more about what you learned on this issue, on the migrants in Chicago as part of your story.
Well, first,
y'all chat. Y'all got to stop, bro. I'm trying to get to the show, but I'm telling you, I'm giving you an accurate description. Man, she was such a big girl. She was such a big girl. Her she was like the color of chocolate cake, and then her hair was like a red color. And she was big, and she was burly, and she had these big hands. And it was so crazy because I was just like, oh, it looked like if she did like this too fast, that her hands was going to explode or they was going to start bleeding. If she did like this too fast, it was going to explode. I was like, girl, your hands should not be that tough. There's nothing that you can grab that you're not going to tear up. Oh God. Girl, them hands was weapons. Them hands was like weapons, seriously. We gotta get to the show.
A positive update, which is the city of Chicago. I asked them for comment. They said they have officially backed off of their plans to convert this field house into a migrant shelter. But what did I learn on this story? I learned that these are all people, these are all lifelong Democrats. I spoke to a former Obama intern, someone who grew up canvassing for the NAACP, pro-reparations voters. And these are people who feel completely betrayed by the Democratic Party and would like to be Democrats, but just cannot get behind what they
Our streets, our elbows was covered, so I couldn't see them.
stand for these days, especially on immigration.
I want to fully recognize that we are all profoundly pale people. And we're talking about this issue that is impacting the Black community.
All right, so Chicago's facing lawsuits over migrant crisis. We're going to go to the next thing because I can't focus. I'm too busy listening to y'all in the chat. Y'all got me distracted. Let's just get to the money, y'all. I'm going to read the rest of super chats and we're going to get there. No goofy minds booting people for disagreeing. Respect. Yeah, my minds is cool. They dope. I don't mind if y'all disagree with me. It's cool. I mean, because we all got difference of opinions, and I'm not expecting for y'all to agree with me on every single thing. The only thing that I ask y'all to do is not to be disrespectful towards nobody. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk about nobody's spouses. Don't talk about nobody's kids. Don't get crazy. And it's you know what it is. I shouldn't have to explain it to y'all. So as long as y'all not getting disrespectful, then we cool. Shout out to the mods for doing a great job for monitoring the chat and getting it popping. Shout out to the kings and priests in the building. Ray Sean says, talk to me like I'm 4. Do I upload the link to Facebook that leads to my YouTube video, or do I upload the entire video to Facebook itself? Okay, so, all right, let me break it down. I have a separate page, okay? And so I have a regular profile on Facebook. Everybody that's on Facebook got to have a regular profile. And then I have a business page or a public profile page or a creator page, right? Now, on Facebook, you have to reach certain thresholds in order to start getting monetized. Similar to the YouTube, but the thresholds is different. Right? I'm not sure what they were, but I think it was like 10,000 people that follow you or something like that. So you got to work your way up to it. I use the business manager or whatever it is, and I only do it to my business page because that's the page that eventually is going to be monetized for you. So I use that in order to schedule posts. And the way that I do it is that I'm either live streaming to both platforms at the same time, or if I'm uploading a clip, then I upload it to Facebook specifically. So there is a link for you to either upload it directly on that business page, or you can go into the business manager in which you can then schedule it, upload the cover photo and everything like that. So I would absolutely upload it separately. And I would not link it to your YouTube video. You can monetize Facebook completely separate than you can monetize YouTube. It's a different monetization process. Even when it comes to how they contribute when you're doing a live stream, they contribute stars instead of contributing super chats, right? And then the monetization is completely different. So I wouldn't link it to YouTube. I would upload the video or whatever clip specifically separately to Facebook. Now, the foundation of what you're supposed to be putting together is based off of whatever generates the most revenue. So if that's YouTube for you, then that's what you do, right? But I would separately monetize Facebook, and then I would leverage each platform differently. So Instagram, they don't make no money, but Instagram is also an extension of what you're doing from a YouTube or whatever other platform that allows for people to be able to communicate with you. It brings more visibility. You can monetize it as far as getting different ads or sponsorships, or people reach out to you, or maybe the first thing that they look for in order to communicate with you is on Instagram. And then you can put your email inside of your Instagram profile for people to contact you for business inquiries. So the content that you put up on Instagram is nothing like what you're putting up on Facebook and YouTube. It's completely separate, right? I put up pictures, and I usually do reels that I also put up on YouTube. And then I also double those same reels up for TikTok. I don't care about TikTok. There is no real money on TikTok right now. However, there were people that were already making profiles acting like me on TikTok. So I'm like, I might as well take over what's happening on TikTok and double what it is that I'm putting out as far as content for stuff that's not monetized on Instagram. And then I use that for TikTok also, right? But more importantly, I also use that for YouTube. So the reels or the shorts that I'm using for YouTube, I double them up and I use them for Instagram in order to bring more visibility, but also on TikTok because I have no choice but to be on the platform anyway, right? But the monetization opportunities, you want to separately do those. Those are separate for each platform. Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, it's all different platforms. Different audiences, different platforms, different people that's reaching out to you for different reasons. Facebook tend to be a little bit older of an audience. You know, it's different things, but now you're starting to get into Patreon level content, so I'm not going to go into that. But phenomenal question. Thank you, my dog Ray Sean. I appreciate you. Wayne Leonard says, thank you for being you. No, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Wayne, for holding me down. Pookie's friend Ray Ray said, this migrant thing is my fault. I'm officially retiring from driving them to other cities. Oh, my God. I'd be so scared to read his super chats. Greg Charlie says, the back and forth between you and the Eastside chick was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on YouTube. Live. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious, wasn't it? You never know what you're going to get. Wednesday night, tune in. Mo Betta says, hey, AD, did you hear about the story out of Ohio where an illegal migrant was convicted for busting down and impregnating? Oh, no, I didn't hear that. Send that to me. That might be for tomorrow's show. These are people that are getting in through the open borders. I know. And what the word is on the street is that they emptying out their prisons so that they don't have to spend money on them and letting them come over here to the United States of America. America is simping for Mexico being a step baby daddy. You ain't lying, Brittany. 100%. Spacer says she wiped off the ceiling fan with her. JP says the Pendry views. I didn't see a migrant. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate everybody for continuing to hold me down. All right, let's get to the money. What up? What up? What up? What's going on? What's happening with you? What's up? You just sitting out here? You ain't watching me on the TV in there? I was. Oh, you just wanted to come out here? You want to speak to the people, honey? Sure. Just sit. They can hear you. You ain't got.
Hi.
Oh, here. Okay, come on over a little bit closer. Don't worry, y'all. It'll take her about 30 minutes to get over for 5 feet. She'll get here. All right, go ahead. Say hi to the people.
Hi.
How do you feel?
I feel really good.
How are you progressing?
Really, really well.
Are you stir crazy in the house?
Yes.
You ready to get out the house?
Yes.
Why? You need to rest. You need to sit down.
Because there's nothing to do. You can only lay down and sit down and watch so much TV. And I'm not really a TV person. I want to go outside.
You was trying to do laundry earlier.
Yeah, I need to change the load too.
I made you sit down.
Yeah, you did.
She trying to be busy, y'all. She trying to do stuff and she trying to be busy and all of that. So, but don't worry about it. We just gonna make it. You was doing the same thing during the pandemic. You wasn't doing a whole lot.
Well, but we had like people. We had the kids, so we was doing stuff with them.
You still had to stay in the house.
I did, but and you weren't as busy as you are now then because you didn't have as much stuff to do. So maybe you was looking at me a little bit more.
I was looking at you a little bit more. So, all right. Do you want something to eat?
I think I'm gonna eat what I had yesterday.
You sure?
Yeah, but I'm not ready right now.
All right. You're welcome. All right. Well, let's get into the money, y'all. They said prayers up for you. They say, hey, they all spoke back to you. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to get to the money? All right, let's get to it. No, that's not what we wanted to talk about. What is the other one? I don't think I got it for it. I might not have uploaded it. Anyways, self-checkout is now starting to take over. People are getting rid of, not taking over. People are getting rid of self-checkouts. They starting to go back to regular cashiers, and I thought that this would be, an interesting subject to cover. So again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
the self-checkout backlash. Some stores are reverting from automated registers and bringing back more human cashiers. What's more human? Human cashiers. Let's go behind it. What is behind this change?
Well, I mean, look, simply put, people are just fed up, right? How many times have you gone through the self-checkout lane? The machine tells you you haven't placed the item in the right spot, even though you did. Then there's the issue of inventory loss, things that are stolen or just missing. It seems hardworking cashiers, oh, they're making a comeback. Self-checkout. You either love it or...
I hate it. I hate it.
If I'm going to do the work, give me a discount.
This morning, several major retailers are listening and reevaluating their self-checkouts. Some business analysts pointing less to customer satisfaction and more to inventory loss as part of the problem.
The technology that is powering self-checkout is also layering in other technology like AI that's monitoring the customer that's checking out the products.
So they basically can tell how much inventory loss. Look, a lot of these places and a lot of these retail places, they're very, very scared to ever approach a customer or to say anything to the customer. But what they will say, or what is happening, is they are aware of the fact that there is a lot of loss that is happening because artificial intelligence and the different tools that they're building into it is basically telling them that. And the data is basically saying, hey, man, they combine that with the data, they combine that with the orders that they have to make, they combine that with the loss and how much write-off that they have, and they're having a lot of shrinkage. Shrinkage is anything from something getting damaged and they have to throw it away because they can't make money from it, all the way up to people stealing, right? And so part of it is the theft, because let me be very, very clear. The customer service part of it is always going to come second to the bottom line. If they feel like they can increase their bottom line by having better customer service, then they will. The problem with that is it always costs them more to have humans serving other humans than it will to have machines. So now we're having a hybrid approach similar to what we have in the automotive industry, right? And that people wasn't really checking for hybrids until EVs came. Now they know that they have to evolve, they know that they have to change, they know that they have to adapt, they know that these miles per gallons in these different states like California is basically banning internal combustion engines in themselves. And so what they've done is they said, well, listen, give me a hybrid. Give me something that has EV technology in it, but I don't want to get away from the core of what it is. Because criminals then came through and they said, oh man, this is easy to steal. We ain't got to do nothing. I seen a whole lot of people when I was standing in the checkout line ring up bananas, but they really had steaks in their hand, but they was ringing up bananas. It's a fact. And during the pandemic, it accelerated. And so what you're basically seeing now is that it's a combination of justification behind bringing back cashiers. Now, there's certain retailers, in my opinion, that I don't think is ever going back to cashiers. I do not think that the Myers and the Walmarts and the Krogers are going back to just cashier lanes. Me, myself, personally, I enjoy when I get to go into a unique store where it's primarily self-checkout and it just feels nostalgic. It feels old school. It's weird because there's people that are adults now that never grew up to be able to shop for themselves and actually be able to experience it the way that we've experienced it back in the day. To where now it feels nostalgic to just have all lanes. Like I go to certain specialty grocery stores or local grocery stores that's not a part of big chains, right? And in those grocery stores, everything is nostalgic. Everything is weird because you have to go through a cashier and you have to have somebody bagging up your groceries. And people are now so used to doing it themselves and they used to move in a certain way. And I also realize that there's people that are adults now that never ever got to experience what we get to experience even now in some of these specialty stores, which is what used to be normal back in the day. But again, technology and innovation combined with wages and rates and trying to get things faster and margins being lower and the cost of food going higher and trying to pass that over to the customer in order to maintain a customer base so you can compete against the likes of the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Krogers, the big chains. People tend to start to reject those because once they experience that nostalgic thing that they used to have, they realize how much they still like it. Now, there's some people that just don't care. They don't care. They just want their stuff. They want it now. but there's other people that actually enjoy the customer service aspect of things. I'm starting to appreciate life moving a little bit slower now. I'm not always moving fast. Even when it comes to different things that I have to do, even around the house when I'm working from home, I take a breath because your mind can race so fast and you can say, well, I got a lot of stuff that I got to take care of. But I'll usually stop and I'll say, and then I'll just start moving a little slower and I'll take my time. And maybe I move it back a couple minutes or whatever in order to make sure. But I'm not moving as fast on purpose anymore because it allows for me to take in what it is that I got going on around me. I appreciate the sales. I appreciate the human interaction. I appreciate people bagging my groceries. I appreciate the people that deliver my food and stuff like that, right? When we do Instacart, I appreciate the fact that they're bringing it up to my door and stuff. And so, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of solving for the fact that they realize that having this technology doesn't solve for the human element on the other side as far as them walking out the door with your stuff. But then at the same time, if they can have 1 or 2 cashiers monitor 6 or 7 or 8 different stations, and it still gives that sense of customer service to where they programs you to do a self-checkout on your own, they're going to still do it. They still going to do that. But there's always going to be a few individuals that decide to get away from it because it's costing them too much money.
An industry survey found that self-checkout represented 30% of transactions in 2021 and that 96% of food retailers surveyed offered it at their stores. But with them come complaints of tech glitches.
There's always like one item that doesn't scan, and then all of a sudden, that light goes from green to yellow above you.
An impersonal experience.
A lot of us want a human being.
Yeah.
We want to have that conversation. We want to be able to voice our concerns or ask a question about a product.
And long lines. So even here at the grocery store, this line here, this is all for self-checkout. So you're still going to have to wait in line.
And that's the thing that people don't also understand is that just because you in self-checkout don't mean that you're not going to wait in a long line. You're not going to get there. And then it's going to be that one person that scans something wrong, or they're going to scan some alcohol and then they got to go over there and check their IDs and all of that stuff because the little thing is going to be going off. So I think that people need to slow down. You can be efficient, you can move quicker, but take it in, like just breathe for a second and just chill out. You in a rush to go and do nothing anyway.
Target stores now limiting the number of items at their self-checkouts to reportedly shorten those wait times. Dollar General says it plans to ramp up its employee presence at the front of the stores, noting the convenience of self-checkout to some customers, but saying it does not reduce the importance of a friendly, helpful employee who is there to greet customers and assist while the checkout process is happening.
People want that interaction.
Here at Rivertown IGA, a small Ohio grocer just outside of Cincinnati, they have 2 self-checkout stations, but say they pride themselves on their personal check-ins from their cashiers.
Our self-checkouts is just an option. If you don't want to use it, please go see the regular cashiers because they're going to know you, know your family, know what you usually shop for.
And they're going to know if you're stealing or not. Now, Susan, you know you ain't supposed to be in here getting that. They know you got diabetes, but you over here getting all of that high sugar stuff. Girl, you know you ain't supposed to have that. What you doing with this? And then you're going to feel shame. I'm telling you, it's so many benefits to human interaction that people don't understand. The only human interaction that they have nowadays is likes on Instagram. That's why I even like interacting with the chat. I don't just do a show and that's the end of it. I like interacting with the chat because that's a human element to it, is that I actually get to, coming in, reading y'all names, seeing who in the chat, getting a sense of and asking y'all how y'all doing. Give me one word. Oh man, I seen you last night and this person was doing really well. I seen your Instagram story. It's that human element that we're missing in society today because we're moving too fast. We're moving too fast. We overstimulated, undersatisfied. We're never going to be able to appreciate the situation that we're in because we're moving too fast. Too fast.
To talk about the town gossip. They're our friends.
It's all about the gossip, right? The consumers we spoke with do say that self-checkout is convenient for one or two things, but they say they really enjoy having that personal interaction with the cashier.
Universal Ask says, I don't want to talk to anyone at the store. Just give me my stuff and let me go ASAP. See what I'm saying? That's why we don't have no social skills in society anymore. Don't nobody know how to say thank you. We rude to each other. We act like we be acting like serial killers. We be looking weird. Don't y'all know that y'all be looking weird? That's why y'all be going into the store with pajamas. Y'all don't even dress up to go outside no more. That's why women is throwing on bonnets, because I just want to get it real quick and stuff like that. Hair don't be brushed, nothing. Just showing up, looking stupid, looking weird. Don't know how to do nothing. No more. We act like idiots. Act like idiots. I remember you used to have to go and fix your own car. And you would have to go to AutoZone or Murray's. We have Murray's here in Michigan. And you would actually have to talk to the guy, because the guy behind the counter was actually knowledgeable. He wasn't just a body. He was a person that actually understood cars. And so you would buy, hey man, is this the right one for this? He was like, what kind of car you got? Oh, I got this, I got that. No, you don't need that one. Go and get this battery. Oh no, you don't want that one. Make sure you get this. And they would give you the insight on how you can go and fix it. All right, look, bro, this is what you want to do, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. If it don't work, come back and talk to me. We missing that human element of it. We're missing the human element of what it takes in order to be successful as a society, and that's why we're so disconnected. We're disconnected. You had to interact with people in order to be more successful. You had to talk to people. You had to develop social skills. You had to have that human interaction to be. That's why I'm always going to have a leg up on most people and everything. Because when you think it's just enough for you to study some kind of online course, I realize that the online course is only a 10% of it. And when we both get into the interview, I'm going to be personable. You're going to be looking like an idiot because you thought that it was just a test. And you thought that it was a test of your competency. But my C-student skills are going to shine way, way brighter than what you got going on as far as your ability to be able to do a code real quick. And I'm going to be laughing and we're going to be having a good time. And they're going to pick me and they're going to give me way more money than they was going to give you if they would have picked you anyway. And so I know I'm going to always be able to beat you because your inability to take into consideration that part of what being a human is, the interaction part of it, is a very, very, very vital skill. A very, very vital skill that most people don't think that they have to cultivate. They don't think it's important for them to work on how they communicate. They don't think it's important for them to go out and interact with people. You stay in the house 24/7, 7 days a week. That's why I be going stir crazy, because I need to be around people. I need to kick it with people. I need to talk to people. I want to shake your hand. I want to have fun. I want to have hugs. And people feel so weird when they meet me for the first time because they're like, man, you really are like this in real life. We all should be like that in real life. And we got to work on the human element, the social skills, our ability to be able to communicate. You master that by actually interacting with people and not hiding in the back of in a classroom. That's just my opinion anyways. So anyways, let me read a few more super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here because we got Wednesday night. I've been going over every day. That's because I've been at home. Reed Savage says, no disrespect to Rita's voice is legendary. Shout out to you, no disrespect taken, big dog. I appreciate it. Sivlap says, self-checkout equal a nice way to get a 2-for-1. That 5-finger discount. Karen Williams says, Anton, are you aware that the migrant situation has hit Detroit? Saw it on another podcast yesterday. Look it up on the articles online myself. I will check it out. But we will not be having any migrant crisis happening over here in Detroit. We will riot over here in Detroit before we had that nonsense. Lucid Experience says, send it to me in my email too. Lucid Experience says, ride sharing for 2 years during the pandemic was one of the most humbling experiences I could have went through. It taught me to be of service and got me to network, which led me to my current job now. Shout out to you, big dog. I appreciate you. Listen, y'all, I do consider y'all to be my family. You guys are absolutely awesome. I love you. I genuinely appreciate you. Make sure you get that Teach Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Also, on top of that, we love each other. We absolutely love each other. You guys are the greatest. I consider you family. If you guys are not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I love you. I appreciate you. And you know what it is. You know what we do. I need you to do me one more favor before we get up out of here, y'all. Just one. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. You guys are so, so awesome. And if nobody told you that they loved you, I'm telling you right now, I genuinely love you. All right? I'm going to see y'all tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. Peace.